not about taking everything away, but it's really augmenting or accelerating their time of value and speed of delivery. Brandy Corbello, VP of Transformation at Cushman & Wakefield, really leading our automation efforts internally.
And I'm Tom Wild, the CEO of Indico Data. Well, Brandy, it's great to chat with you here at the show. We've heard a lot about Cushman's journey around automation. When you had those early wins with RPA, you began to look at unstructured data as the next challenge. What were some of the things you were trying to solve with unstructured data? What challenges did it present as you were trying to gain these efficiencies?
Yeah, it's a really good question. As we looked across our use cases at Cushman & Wakefield, we have a ton of documents. So thinking about leases, we have a certificate of insurance, we have bank statements, we have invoices, thousands of documents, all varying, and we really needed something that could solve all of those use cases, help us with change management, and really give us this really great user experience, but also allow us to start tapping into the unstructured data, specifically on the lease side, because it's so rich for us and we haven't really been able to use it.
When you started to look at unstructured data and talk to line of business about those opportunities, given that this is an artificial intelligence approach, did you have to sort of train them or reset their expectations around this notion of accuracy, automation, augmentation? How did that go?
Yeah, it's also a really good question. As we thought about business expectations, they hear automation and they think it's going to do everything for me. So we really had to level set and change the word to augmentation, because it's not about taking everything away, but it's really augmenting or accelerating their time of value and speed of delivery.
When you look at the scale of the impact at a place like Cushman when it comes to these unstructured data flows, give us a sense of how many people does this touch and how big an impact and potential into the future do you see it?
Directly, it impacts probably 1,000 people in the Americas, but if you think about it, actually impacts our entire population, because the lease data that we have is so rich. It helps our brokers, but it also helps us internally, because we can start understanding what's going on with our clients, which helps Cushman really make decisions as well.
When you look a bit into the future and try to weave this into some of your existing systems, talk a little bit, if you could, about the sort of Cushman, broadly technology stack and how you see these pieces coming together between RPA, with UiPath, unstructured Indico, and some of the other enterprise systems you already had in place.
Yeah, stack technology is really important because we have these enterprise applications that really host our data, but we really we need things sitting over top of it, right, to really perform the processes for us. So we think about unstructured, really the inputs, right, and then the outputs of that, being able to normalize it, right, and be able to do something with. That's when we bring RPA in to really have that repetitive, rules-based approach for those native applications.
When you talk to senior management about building the business case for this, how do you talk upward into the C-suite to say this is something we need to invest in, and how do you show that tangible result?
I would say it's twofold. The first is operational efficiency, right? So hours back to the organization, but then also we're starting to talk about now that we're structuring this unstructured data we've never had access to, what kind of value does that bring to our business, and how does that differentiate us in the market?
Do you see that as new intellectual property? Are those opportunities to actually compete differently in the market because you can suddenly take this unstructured and create value from it?
100%. We've been talking about it from a revenue generating standpoint and really thinking about products embedded in our services, because we're a people business.
And any thoughts on what do you see around the corner? What's over the horizon a little bit in terms of unstructured and the data opportunity?
I actually talked about this a little bit yesterday. What's going to be really important for COEs is really governance and connectedness, as well as explainability and monitoring of AI, RPA, and all the things that bring process automation together.
On that topic, do you see the compliance folks internally scaling up or upskilling around things like AI? Where do you see them relative to where you guys are as a COE?
I think compliance plays a really important role for us, because they allow us to understand what we can do with the data and how we can access it, but really our team is there to understand the value to the business.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciated talking to you here, and have a great show.
Yeah, thanks.